I grew up in an era where conflict was devastating in Sierra Leone. Between 1991 and 2002, I had to run and take shelter all over the country from fear of being shot or killed. In 1995, just after completing my secondary school entrance examination, we had another military coup in Sierra Leone, and everything came to a standstill, and it was for a very long period of time. Because of that conflict, I couldn't go to school for 2 whole years. Every day, I looked at my new school uniform, hoping I could wear it and head to secondary school. You know, the excitement of leaving primary school. In 1997, I celebrated my 11th birthday. And that was a really difficult time for me. My dad wanted me to have something special for my birthday. So he traveled, I think about 10 kilometers to get me that something special. The special something was a bottle of Coke that I had to celebrate and share with my 3 siblings. I'm growing up and finally walking, I realized 10 kilometers was really far to go and just get a bottle of Coke. Whilst the conflict raged on, I went through years with hope and faith. And that was it, just hope and faith, because honestly, there was no certainty. Even the certainty of being alive wasn't there because I lost so many loved ones. I try not to remember. And growing up now, sometimes I just think and ask God how lucky I was to be alive. We had 2 failed peace agreements in Sierra Leone, but finally in 2002, one of the most vicious wars in Africa eventually came to an end. I was 16 at the time and had huge hope that things were going to come back to normal. And at the time I didn't have a clue what normal was, but for me it meant that I wouldn't be sleeping under my bed from the fear of an stray bullet, or I wouldn't be traveling from one bus stop to another as I was doing, running away with my parents from a particular city where the conflict was. But as a response to the peace deal, many aid agencies came in with aid and rehabilitation of ex-combatants who were young people. But some agencies did take approaches that, in my mind, I thought it wasn't right. And this is something I always say because something that is vivid in my mind since I was 16. One agency came to my community and having consulted the chief, they decided to erect a water well in our playing ground where all young people, like myself at 16, where we normally meet and play football. They thought that we need water. So our playground was actually taken away from us. The water well was built. It gave us water for about a month, and that was it. At that time, myself and my friends, we felt cheated because we had nothing at home, and that playing field where we play football meant everything to us. It was a place of interaction. It was a holy source of entertainment. But one agency took a different approach, and that agency is Restless Development. They came into my country in 2005 and approached young people, my peers. Many of them were still armed, which I don't blame them for. They were captured and they were forced into being child soldiers. And Restless did ask a question to us, saying, how would you like to lead the peace process and redevelopment of your country? the question the other agencies didn't ask about. I was lucky, far luckier than many of my peers, that in 2008 my parents had to make a tough decision. It was a wise one. Why I call it tough? Because they sacrificed a lot making the decision for me. They secured a loan so that I can study and become a chartered accountant in the UK. So it was during this time that I decided to be part of this movement, part of Restless Development. Because whilst I was in the UK, I discovered that even in the UK, Restless Development was recruiting young people to lead their business. The CEO is 42 and pretty much he's the oldest we have in the office. So 3 months after I arrived in the UK, I was offered an internship. And for me, it was a miracle. Went to the website, saw Restless, and I called in asking for an internship. And I had a reply, which was an opportunity for me. At that time, the country director called me in for a chat. She spoke to me and decided to give me an internship with the organization. At a time where I had no idea what an F4 setting looks like, had little idea of what a computer actually looks like, or what you normally do with computer rather than sending emails. I had few skills. Sometimes I would say I had no skills. But they saw a potential in me that I didn't actually see in myself. They gave me an opportunity as an intern. And standing here, I would say it's the biggest opportunity an organization or someone has ever given me in my professional life. Strangely, my journey with Restless started in the UK, but it appropriately took me back home in 2012, where I am now leading an operation of a national program in Sierra Leone. So going back in 2012, in the last 2 years, I've watched Restless Development work in the most rural communities in my country, where teenage pregnancy, early marriages, and lack of basic knowledge on sexual reproductive health undermines opportunities for young people. It also limits the chance for healthy and a productive lifestyle. This is as a result of poverty, a lack of access to education and the related health services. Most importantly, unequal opportunities for young people, especially girls. In Sierra Leone, we train more than 120 young people from all across the country to live and work in our poorest community for a year. They create vital linkages between schools and health workers. We also target our out-of-school youth and guys that are in school. So our lessons are taught in the school curriculum. We also target teenage mothers by forming a teenage mother club in which we encourage the schools to accept these girls back so that they can finish their education. We support families and we provide livelihood skills for people. We do our best to locate people who can create services. Before I came, we had an annual review, and we had a lady who is a seamstress. She was in that community for quite a while. So we were able to get young people. We spoke to her, and she was willing to give a trade to learn these young girls how to do sewing and how to make a living for themselves. And again, it's a fulfillment for the guys that volunteer, because when these volunteers leave the community, they leave a community with cohesion and structure to support the development of other young people. The effect of just one person in a community, just one volunteer, is astonishing. I'm standing here today, and I would say I am what I am because of an opportunity that was given to me by Restless Development. And so many of my fellow Sierra Leoneans have taken up leadership roles in their communities because we were given an opportunity. We were consulted because we knew the issues that affect us most in our community. We were consulted, guided, and given the opportunities to take active role. Every day since I returned back home, I've been inspired by the people I work with. And they are all young people below the age of 28. So I guess I'm here tonight to ask for your help. You could allow our young Sierra Leonean volunteers to keep doing their work, to keep training their peers, keep giving access to information and services, keep allowing them to make their own decisions, keep enabling them to seize every opportunity that is in there. Please help us to do more and help us to give more opportunities so that people can stand up as I have stood up. Please help us carry on in changing lives all over the world, not just in Sierra Leone. Thanks so much, guys, for listening.